Hi, my name is Amanda Woodard, and this is my presentation on social emotional learning and trauma. So first, I wanted to look up trauma to have a better understanding of what this all entailed. I found some different definitions, but basically, it's a reaction to something that's upsetting or was a threatening situation, um, mostly referring to life events. Like those situations could be from abuse or, a house fire or passing of a loved one, car accident, things like that. Uh, and it just talked about how some children do recover from these events, but some children don't, or maybe it takes them a different window of time to recover. But just like any other situation with students, they're all different. They all have different needs. And so that's something just to be mindful of is that there's no clear plan for how that will play out. So impact of trauma, and I'm sorry, my site did get cut, my citation is cut off at the bottom. Um, but the full citations on the last reference page. So impact of trauma. So this can affect the learning and behavior of students. They could either slow down their learning or stop learning altogether, maybe being disengaged, which will result in falling behind or not learning the materials. Behavior issues, maybe outbursts in class that could be triggered by things going on with those underlying uh, issues there. Another area, the other TSA uh, site I used, I'm so sorry, my brain went blank for a second. Um, Talked about avoidance, re-experiencing in negative moods. So avoidance, just trying not to think about the event, and maybe that's when they become disengaged. So that could be affecting the learning, re-experiencing. So they're replaying this event in their mind, and maybe after that they're having avoidance where they're trying really hard not to be focused on it anymore. And then negative mood, so could be on edge, maybe agitated or worried constantly during school time. Some strategies. So universal approach. This is just kind of being everyone hands on deck, working to be supportive of this trauma affected student or students. Some strategies I saw that I felt like were really practical and could easily be done by everyone. Just be present and emotionally available for students, being willing to talk or take that time. Because especially if they seek you out, that means you have a trusted relationship. They need an ear and you happen to have their trust. And so make sure that we're open to that, because if we close that off, that could just definitely kill that relationship and could be really negative for that student. So ask directly, like, how can I help you? Um, and maybe they don't want anything, they just want someone to know. So that's another thing, is to just uh, be aware and be uh, active, maybe in consulting other staff could be necessary. Provide structure and predictability. A lot of students thrive on structure, especially if there's some trauma. They might be comforted by having that structure in the classroom. And just be mindful. Make sure that we're trying to use language or teaching content that can avoid triggering. And maybe there's things that happen that can't be avoided, but if we're aware that that could be a trigger, maybe we can modify or talk to that student ahead of time and just let them know this is what we're going to talk about today, um, just so they feel prepared, or it could have something in a positive way, I guess. And then provide the opportunity to talk or write. And I think that goes part of that being emotionally available. Um, let them have time to be heard. So guiding students with trauma. So providing space and time to calm down, give a chance to communicate about experiences, communicate with families. So if this is something that we need to communicate home, let them know this is what we're seeing. Any behavior changes, maybe there's something they've commented on that maybe administration, school counselor, family, we all need to be on the same page. And then teach and model social and emotional skills. Ask the school counselor or mental health specialist for support. I think that's a great idea, especially as new teachers. I feel like I constantly have a lot to learn. I'm kind of always feel like I'm learning on the job. And it's nice to have those allies in ways that can help me be better, teach me better skills to bring in the classroom. And then building relationships. I feel like whether it's classroom management, helping students as individuals, helping the whole class, those relationships make it so much better. So I think in helping students who are affected by trauma, building relationships, being that trusted, safe space or trusted ally is very important. So modeling the social emotional skills. This one, I thought about this one for a while, because I have students that are from 7th grade to 12th grade, and we have a variety of students who have a variety of backgrounds. Even though a really small skill like school, um, it's just I feel like all the time like I need to keep myself in check, but not necessarily I need to keep myself in check in a bad way, but just be mindful of my emotions and understanding that maybe my facial expressions, if they don't look a certain way, could show I'm upset and maybe trigger a student to think that I'm upset with them, and maybe they might have a reaction to that. Make sure I'm providing a safe space. This school year, I've been our acting counselor, even though I'm still the business teacher. So, like I said, learning on the job, but making sure I'm providing that safe space. I let students know, like, if you need a breather, I have that outside office. No, I'm not in here all day, but definitely communicate with me. We can communicate with the office. We can find a place for you to cool down. My students know in class if they're having a rough time, they can say, hey, Mrs. Dubs, can I go take a break? And we've established that a break means we have one main hallway, and they may go from my door down to the other end of the hallway, touch the yellow door, and come back. It only takes a couple minutes. I can see them. I can still see my class. But sometimes just that walk and maybe separating yourself from the situation is a good time, just to kind of reflect for them. The class kind of reflects like, oh man, this wasn't good. But I do think that it's important to show them that, like, I'm also a person, I'm still human. And so I might need to seek social and emotional support, and that might come from my principal. My administrator is always open to listening and really supportive of our whole team. But I also have other mentors in the building and obviously friends you develop through work that are very, very supportive. So just making sure we're still seeking that support too. So then just the reflection. So just kind of reflecting on some of the stuff I read and I found out, just like creating those relationships, make sure I'm communicating with the student, I'm communicating with home, other teachers, whoever needs to be involved in it. I know that this isn't like all situations aren't for everyone to know. Sometimes it's a need to know basis, but just make sure we're communicating. I still, like I said, since I'm doing the counseling, I'm mostly doing PowerSchool and helping students with IPSs and different things like that. But there have been times where I've had to help students who are either having some trauma or are just having some high emotions during school, I'll say. And I just always think, like, I don't know what I'm doing. So seeking more professional development, I will be getting more education in this down the road. I'm just not there yet. So that's definitely been eye-opening that I definitely need this and will actively be seeking it. Be open to seeking support, like just understanding I'm not alone with this. Like I said, I have a really great team I work with, and so just reminding myself that I don't need to internalize things like I normally do, and it's okay to seek out my team. And then also when this is something I do struggle with, don't take it personally. I actually read that in one of my articles and I just thought like, oh man, that's so true. Just like don't take it personally. That student, the quote was the student isn't giving you a hard time. The student is having a hard time. So it's not always about us. It's sometimes we are just on the receiving end of something else that's going on. And so just kind of using those strategies to try to diffuse it, be supportive, things like that. And then these are my references. All right. Thank you.